Hello and welcome. My name is Mo, and this is the abridged version. Today we're talking about the 25 books I am most excited to read in 2025. So for the first category, we're going to do like mystery, thriller, horror type of vibes. And the first one of that category is Recursion by Blake Crouch. I actually read Dark Matter, or listened to Dark Matter on Spotify Premium at the beginning of last year, and I think I gave it 3.5 stars on Goodreads. I really loved the idea of the story. I'm a big sci-fi fan. I'm big into like alternate realities and dimensions and things like that. I think I had a problem more with like the narrator of the audiobook and how he like emphasized and said some things, so I'm kind of looking forward to reading this on my own. Next book is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This is one that I have really been looking forward to and kind of nervous to get into. I've actually never read these books. I've never even seen the movies. There's a new book coming out, I think in a few months. If you're excited about a vlog for this one, first time reading The Hunger Games, let me know because I might have something in the works for that. But on to the next one. Next in this category, we have a historical mystery novel, An Instance of the Fingerpost by Iain Pears. This has been on my TBR for a long time. It's a thick one, and I always see this come up in like the gothic horror, mystery, thriller, dark academia type videos. It follows 4 POVs, I believe, as they kind of recount what happened during a murder and the aftermath of the murder. I actually found this on sale at Second & Charles for $3, and I was stoked about that. The next book for this genre category is Eruption. This one I have seen on many a 2024 top reading list. It follows a gentleman, I believe he works in like a science department of some research center and also is like a surf instructor part-time, and he discovers that there is going to be a wild volcanic eruption in Hawaii, and he tries to like figure out how he can alert the right people and get the right people to believe what's going to happen and try to prevent any terrible catastrophe. This is another one that I wasn't exactly sure which category to put it in. I think it's classified as gothic horror, but that is Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray. And this one I know has some controversy around it. I see this one referenced quite a bit, and I believe this is the only book Oscar Wilde ever published. I think when I was researching it, I read that he had another French manuscript but never had it translated into any other language or published anywhere else. I picked this up a few times actually and never really been able to get super into it, but look how small. It's so small. I feel like I just need to like sit down, immerse myself with some like creepy, cozy music and just get into it. So maybe 2025 is the year. The next book in the mystery category that I am most excited to read is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. This is a mystery following a guy who finds like a lost, forgotten book and the journey that it takes him on throughout Barcelona. I've actually been to Barcelona. It's one of my favorite places, and I'm excited to see how that kind of bleeds into the writing in the book here. One of my best friends actually read this last year and she loved it. She has been recommending it nonstop, so I think it'll be cool to read it so we can chat about it. The next mystery in this category is The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This is one that I have seen all over best reading lists for 2024. I think it even won a mystery award on Goodreads for 2024. I believe this follows a young girl who goes missing, and her family's own like a summer camp. Her brother had gone missing prior, like 14 years prior. So it kind of follows like their past and the complexities of like their family dynamic and relationships, as well as like solving the mystery of her disappearance. It has fantastic reviews, and honestly the cover is stunning. I can't really get over that. So this last one is another one I didn't really know what category it belonged. I guess it's considered a mystery. This is The Brothers Hawthorne by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I've actually read the entire Inheritance Game series. It's not my favorite series. It's something that I really enjoy reading, like picking up as like a palate cleanser. I also get a lot of inspiration from some of like the puzzles and riddles that come through these books for my Dungeons and Dragons games. And honestly, a big reason why I want to read this one this year is just to get it off my TBR and close the chapter on this. But I'm not gonna lie, I am kind of looking forward to just like getting cozy one day and finishing this probably in one sitting because it's such an easy read. The category we are going to get into now is fantasy, and this will kind of encompass historical fantasy, romantasy, anything under that fantasy umbrella, which happens to be my favorite. To start us off in the fantasy category, we are going to be talking about Malice by John Gwynne. This is one that I see all over BookTube and one that I have really been drawn to since I started getting back into reading a few years ago. This follows a few POVs, obviously epic fantasy. I have tried to stay really spoiler free with this series because I kind of want to go in blind and just take it as it is, and I'm really excited to read this one this year. Next on this list, we have a cozy favorite, Legends and Lattes. This is one that I have seen a lot in the fantasy reader community. I have a few friends that love this. In fact, this one in particular, this copy is on loan to me through a friend, but I also happen to have bookshops in Bone Dust as well that I picked up on sale a while back, so I'm finally ready to get into these, I think. This next book is pretty special to me. This was actually a gift from my husband this past Christmas, and that is Eragon by Christopher Paolini. This follows a young boy who finds a dragon egg. I actually don't know really much of anything about this. Another one that I'm kind of excited to go into pretty blind, especially because my husband loves these books so much. I'm also hoping that if I get into this, it might encourage him to pick up some books and read along with me. The next book in this category is one that if you exist on BookTube or BookTok, you have probably heard of before, and that is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. This book is a romantasy about two journalists who are covering a war between Greek gods, I believe, or gods of some sort, and they kind of have to navigate their relationship as well as like their proximity while trying to document this occurrence. I actually have this on loan from my friend Michi. She is my library exchange buddy. We trade books all the time, and it's awesome. I highly recommend doing that with your friends. And I have this and Ruthless Vows of hers. She's read them both already, so I'm excited to catch up to her and pick these up finally in 2025. If you've read these, let me know. I want to hear your thoughts. The last book in this category is historical fantasy, The Lions of Al-Rassan by Gavriel K. I actually read A Brightness long ago, this last year in 2024, and it was actually one of my favorite reads of the year. I think this follows a few different POVs, some men that are training going through war during like medieval Spain. Guy's writing is just so different. It's so interesting. He throws these one-liners in there that just surprise you. The humanity and the relationships he's able to bring in while talking about these gruesome things like war, betrayal, brutality. It's just really beautiful. Let me see if I can find a quote or two from A Brightness Long Ago. Okay, this is one of my favorites. This is towards the end of the book, spoiler free. Perhaps as often as we dream of things we wish might come to be, we dream of what we wish had been otherwise. We are carried forward through time, but our minds take us back. This might be one of the most highlighted tabbed books that I currently have right now as a physical copy. Okay, so this last category is kind of a mix of different things. We have some romance, we have some classics, we have some literary fiction. I kind of just smushed them all together in like an other category. The first book I want to talk about is a romantic comedy by one of my favorite authors, Mhairi McFarlane, You Had Me at Hello. I read a few of her books last year, listened to a couple of them on audiobook. I found this on sale at Second & Charles, and it had to be mine. And I want to read everything this woman ever writes. If you're looking to get into good stories about cool people who live interesting lives and have dynamic things that they're going through while also having fun little sweet romance as a subplot, I highly recommend Mhairi McFarlane's books. On a similar note, we have Book Lovers by Emily Henry. Do not judge me, but I have not read a single Emily Henry book. This is a romance novel that follows Nora as she goes on a trip with her sister and runs into an ex-colleague of hers, and they kind of have to navigate being in each other's proximity and their dynamic as far as like being in the same profession, and kind of like that competitive flair that strikes. I've heard many good things about this, and I'm excited to finally give Miss Emily Henry her time of day. This next book is another one that you probably have heard of if you watch BookTube content or Book Talk content, and that is The Women by Kristin Hannah. I picked this up as an add-on to my book of the month a few months ago, and I decided that this would be a great introduction to her. I've seen her books in a lot of places, even at like Goodwill and other thrift stores, so I hope if I really enjoy this, I can start being on the lookout for those again and pick them up. I believe the story mainly follows Frankie as she signs up to enlist in the Vietnam War and help as she can as a woman during these times. I know this is going to be pretty difficult, pretty heart-wrenching. I really enjoy historical fiction, historical fantasy, anything really that has to do with like the Civil War, World War II. I really think it's important to read content like that and get a reminder or sense of reality of what real sacrifice is, how that can stay with a person for years and sometimes generations to come. I hate saying that I'm really excited to get into this because I know it's going to be heart-wrenching, but I am looking forward to it. Kazuo. Let's see.
Kazuo Ishiguro. Kazuo Ishiguro. Kazuo Ishiguro.
Kazuo Ishiguro. Kazuo Ishiguro. Japanese is hard. Kazuo Ishiguro. Kazuo Ishiguro. The next book on this list is another one that I have seen a lot in random places and book videos that I don't know if it gets enough love. I have a weird fixation with AI and like transcendence of artificial intelligence, and this book, Klara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro, is right up that alley. I believe this follows a artificial friend, they call it, as she navigates being part of a family as artificial intelligence. I saw this at a book and clothing swap and I had to have it. So this is another one that I think it's overdue for me to read in 2025. That was good. That was good. For our next literary fiction novel, we have Circe by Madeline Miller. This is a retelling of some Greek mythology. I believe the daughter of Helios, god of the sun. He ships her off to a remote island and she has to kind of exist there, honing her magical abilities and kind of having this introspective journey. This is another one that I see a lot, and I don't really have that many books surrounding Greek mythology or anything really close to this nature, so I'm excited to get into this and see if I like it. The last book on our list that I have a physical copy of is Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. This is like based on a true story of a woman who committed a murder, was convicted for a murder, and following her as she kind of analyzes and navigates what of her journey she can actually remember and recall, and the complications of memory when you experience trauma. I know that this was adapted into a TV show by Netflix. I've never seen it, and it's another one that I think would be interesting to like read the book and then watch the visual adaptation and kind of give my thoughts. So maybe if that's something that you guys are interested in seeing on the channel, let me know down below. I love Margaret Atwood. I've read a few of her books and some of her short stories. I think her writing is just incredible. There's nothing like it, and she really kind of takes the risk that a lot of female authors I don't think are willing to take. These next few books I do not have physical copies of yet. I hope to possibly procure them or find another way to read them or ingest them sometime in 2025. So those books are as follows. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I really have not read many classics, and this one gets brought up so often, as well as in a lot of other books that I love to read. Another one that I feel I have tried to stay away from knowing a lot, one that I feel like as a classic I really need to kind of go into blind with no expectation. So that is the goal. The next is Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is one that my best friend Ashlyn loves as well. She tried to get me to read this during Halloween this past year, and I was so wrapped up into other books that I just did not give it the time of day. But I think that this could kind of fit into like the classics category for me to read a few more. This is a gothic novel that kind of tells the story of Dracula trying to move from Transylvania to England, and it follows those around him and in his like sphere of influence as he kind of tries to persuade them and manipulate them. The next book on this list is The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. Now, I have quite a complicated relationship with Mr. Tolkien. I love me some Lord of the Rings. I grew up watching the films. I watch them nearly every year. I even kind of like The Hobbit sometimes. I have this weird thing about visual adaptations when it comes to books, or things being like overly hyped before I have a chance to form my own opinion. And I was worried I was going to get into the Lord of the Rings books and hate them. And when I read The Hobbit, it just wasn't what I was expecting. There were parts that I loved, but I had to separate the movie from the books. And I feel like I might feel a little bit better getting into the Silmarillion without knowing much more about the story that it tries to tell, if that makes sense. Next, we have Jade City by Miss Fonda Lee. I see this book everywhere. Some of my favorite booktubers love everything Miss Fonda Lee writes, and Jade City just sounds like such an interesting concept to me. That is an urban fantasy following two crime families and their kind of struggle and combat for power. I love fantasy so much, and when I hear how much people love Jade City and Fonda Lee's books, it makes me so hungry to read them. So that's why they're on the list this year. Next, we have A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping by Sangu Mandana. Now, I read The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches this past year. It is the coziest, warmest hug of a book I think I've ever read, and I have been chasing the high of that feeling ever since. I think this one comes out this summer, July 15th, and I just can't wait to get into the next magical, cozy world that Sangu Mandana creates. The very last book, book 25 on our list, is The House and the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. And this one follows a man named Linus Baker who has to go inspect an orphanage for magical children, and how he kind of falls into seeing them, appreciating them. I think there's some kind of found family and kind of understanding of like relationships, growth, and humanity in this. So I'm really excited to check that out. Well, that concludes the list of the 25 books I am most excited to read in 2025. If you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate a like, maybe subscribe if you want to see more from me. I am new to the YouTube book community, but I'm really excited to be here and share my thoughts with you. I have a lot of exciting videos planned, so I hope you will come back again soon. If you have any questions, concerns, complaints about the books I listed in today's video, want to chat about them, be sure to drop a comment down below or come find me somewhere else on the internet. Until next time, much love, you know the deal, be good to yourselves, be good to each other, be good to the universe. Bye! That was good. That was good. Two more, you're almost there. Oh, and then you have the list. Oh, this pile is getting out of hand.